So on today's podcast, with nearly 30 million people quitting jobs through November of 2021, many leaders, companies, industries, just humans are asking the question, why? Why is all this happening? We're going to point to some of the research for why people are leaving jobs and dive into what the best leaders, teams, and cultures are doing to control what they can control and care for people along the way. Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced the best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back, breathe in good oxygen, and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world. Hey everyone, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast. Season 6 is here. We have kicked off Season 6. It's still hard for me to believe that we are already at well over 100 episodes now, and there's been such great energy, excitement, growth for the podcast, which is a great celebration of all of you, anyone that's listening to this. Thank you for everything, everybody out there who has been rating the podcast, and if you haven't already, I hope you will do that. 5 stars, of course. Everybody that's left a review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this, a nice review about the podcast. Anybody who's been sharing this on social media or sharing it with the people in your networks in your life or your work that should be part of this podcast or listening to this, then thank you, because that's the way that things grow in the world today. And so thank you for everybody that takes a moment, of course, to rate, review, amplify, share it with the people around you. Thank you so much. I'm more grateful for that than you know. So thanks for anybody that takes the time. My commitment to you is that this will continue to be a place. I want this to be a space in your week, a time for you to step back and then to think, to be filled with some positive thoughts, and also some things that are going to contribute to your own leadership journey and the culture of the team, or whatever the construct of the team that you're thinking about for your life and work. I am more convinced of this than ever, as you know, that authentic leadership is needed in the world today. And teams of any kind, teams, organizations, companies, families, communities, we need compelling cultures more than ever in the world today. And certainly on the next few episodes that we're going to be talking about a lot of this stuff, I think you're going to see why that is. So glad you're back. For anybody who's new to the podcast, welcome. Glad you're jumping in, and I hope you really enjoy it, and hope you reach out and do all those things that I just mentioned. And for those of you that are the OGs, the people that have been a part of this from the very beginning, welcome back. So glad you are still with us. So we're going to dive right in today. I mean, it is a new year. With a new year comes that clean slate that we were talking about on last episode, the new canvas, the new beginning, a fresh start. And of course, all of us, so many people are motivated then with a new year and these kind of fresh beginning to start new habits or to actualize that vision that you might have for your life, for your work, your family, your career, whatever that might be. So wherever you are right now, just a couple of weeks into the new year, I hope you are still feeling fueled by whatever it is that you want to change and become in the year ahead. You've also probably, if you've been listening to any business commentary at all, or consuming any content out there, then you've heard the phrase, the Great Resignation, which of course the Great Resignation, or that phrase, is referring to the 24 million people that quit their jobs from April through September in 2021, and then another 4.5 million just up and quit their jobs in November. And this is being referred to as the Great Resignation. And we're going to be talking about that and some elements of that over the next few podcasts. But on today's podcast, we're going to point to some of the research for why people are leaving jobs and dive into what the best leaders, teams, and cultures are doing to control what they can control and care for people along the way. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we dive into that, let's take a quick break, pause for a second, and we'll be right back. Many teams and organizations right now are realizing that they need to do both. They need to engage the minds and hearts of their people in person, where everyone in the room can experience the energy of congregating together and find clarity for the road ahead. And they also need to continue to find ways to engage the minds and hearts of their people virtually, with those who are working remotely or at a distance. So, if you are in the process of planning your next team meeting, company all-hands event, conference, or culture summit, and are looking for support with a powerful keynote speech, facilitated team conversations that are the currency for change, or deeper development on leadership mindset and an intentional strategy for the culture you're trying to create, I hope you'll contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. It is my privilege and our honor to partner with great people to provide support in these areas. We want to breathe oxygen into your leaders and throughout your organization so you can set the temperature you want for your culture. We look forward to connecting with you soon. Okay, with nearly 30 million people quitting jobs in April through September of 2021, right? Or really through November of 2021, nearly 30 million people quitting their jobs. Many leaders, companies, industries, just humans are asking the question, why? Why is all this happening? Well, of course, it's complex. Nobody has all the answers, and I certainly do not either. I'm not claiming that I have the answers. And the reality is that it seems to be a myriad of reasons why. Why are people up and quitting their jobs? But research and studies, of course, do paint a picture to a psychological shift that the pandemic and this high stress of the world events that we've experienced over the last couple of years, that they're pointing to this kind of psychological shift that of all these things that have happened to us and how they're impacting us psychologically. And so there's been a bit of a research and studies which show us that there's a mindset shift that's taking place right now with the old adage of people that quote unquote live to work and the I'll play when I retire kind of mentality, that shifting from not live to work, but work to live, that living life being of higher value than just the status, the pay, or whatever might come with this idea that my work is the most important to me and then my life. And this shift to, no, my life is the most important thing. And oh, by the way, I want my work to support it. And so employees and all the research and data seems to be that employees are voicing that they want a job that fits into their life and not the other way around. A Gallup study found that 9 out of every 10 employees now say that they'd take a pay cut to work for a more meaningful culture. You've heard me talk about that Gallup study before. 9 out of every 10 employees now say that they'd actually take a pay cut to work for a more meaningful culture. The research is telling us that people want meaning, they want purpose, they want to be a part of a culture that listens to them, that values them, and they feel like they are contributing to something greater than self, greater than themselves, a place where their work honors their life and not just the other way around. So it's an interesting psychological shift that the research seems to show that this is what people are telling us. According to the Bloomberg Business Study, 66% of millennials, which current day, that would be people in that 25 to 40 age bracket, 66% of these people in that 25 to 40, the millennial range, left their jobs. These are the people who left their jobs in 2021. 66% of them cited the reason why they left their job is for mental health reasons, that the stress and the anxiety, the angst of the world, the pandemic and everything that was happening, that they were suffering from mental health issues, 66%. And then Gen Z, so that's anybody, that's the generation just below that, which would be anybody 24 or younger. That percentage that cited mental health reasons is even higher. It's at 81% of those who quit their jobs cited mental health challenges. Obviously, the world and the environment that we've been living in has been stressful. It's been uncertain and challenging for employees and employers alike. No doubt about it. It's been challenging, uncertain, and stressful for employees and employers alike. And a new work-life paradigm seems to be evolving, and that we are in the midst of this. And again, nobody has it all figured out, but a new work-life paradigm seems to be evolving. And part of the good side of this is that people are asking good questions about their lives, about their desires, about their purpose. And so this, there are good things that there's a whole lot of bad things that are certainly coming out of this and are part of this. No doubt about that. Don't hear me say that incorrectly. But there are also some things that in the midst of this, that it is wrestling up within a lot of people some good questions. And so people individually are asking good questions of themselves, questions about what kind of life they want to have, question about their desires, what the vision they have for their future, about the purpose of that they want to be behind, and then ultimately, what do they want to put their life's work into? And so those are good questions that people are asking. It's also challenging companies and employers to also ask good questions. And there are many out there that are asking great questions. Companies, leaders, employers that are asking good questions about how do we care for their people? How do I care for my people better? And how do we create cultures that people want to be a part of? And so all of this stress and uncertainty and certainly anxiety around people leaving is also causing us all to ask good questions. So with so much that seems out of our control with the Great Resignation and happenings of the world around us, believe me, there's so much that's just out of my control, it's out of your control, that's happening around us. The question is, what can be done? And many of the questions that I get are, what are the best leaders, teams, and cultures? What are they doing in the midst of this environment of the Great Resignation? What are the things that are within our control? So I know all the things that are out of our control, but what's within our control as leaders and as organizations and as cultures? And so on this podcast, and in fact in the next 3 podcasts, I'm going to be diving deeper into each of these 3 different elements that I'm going to highlight on today's podcast. But we're going to be focusing in on the 3 main ways that leaders, companies, cultures are doubling down on culture and all the things that are within their control. So in the midst of a time when so much feels out of our control, what are the 3 main ways that leaders and companies and cultures are actually doubling down on culture and focusing on all the things that they can control? So as you look at the data, the research, the study, and then certainly my own experience and observations and anecdotal experiences within teams and organizations, we're going to talk about the secret sauce to controlling what you can control during the Great Resignation. And it seems to be that all of this is hidden in the acronym RAD. RAD, RAD. The secret sauce to controlling what we can control during the Great Resignation is wrapped up in what I'm going to refer to as RAD. And the acronym stands for this. The R is retaining talent. Retaining talent. Obviously, the things that are within our control, as so much is swirling around us and happening and people are quitting jobs and all that, the first thing that is within our control is to make sure that we're focusing on what does it look like in retaining talent. The research, the study, and the experience that I bring to it that I've observed is that the best cultures right now, even in the midst of this environment, are stepping back and making sure they're looking at and honoring. They're going out of their way to honor, care for, reach out to, listen to, engage their current people. So before they focus on who isn't with them or who they're going to attract and all that, which is an important piece of the puzzle, of course, they're focusing on how do we retain talent? How do we make sure that we honor, care for, reach out to, listen to, and engage our current people? And this is a tremendous opportunity right now, even in the midst of the challenges and the obstacles and the crisis that many people are experiencing. This is a tremendous opportunity for teams and organizations to rally around the people that you already have, the people that you have inside your team or inside your organization now. So the things that are within our control starts with retaining the talent that we already have. The second piece of that RAD is attracting talent. Attracting talent. So once we've focused on and continue to focus on the people that we already have, of course, that there is a viewpoint and a focus on attracting talent. And so in the midst of a great resignation, we've got to not only hold on to the people that we already have and make sure that we are meeting their needs, and that where we're the opportunities we're providing for them are lighting them up where they want to stay, but we also hopefully are attracting new people that want to be a part of whatever it is that you're doing. The best cultures are shifting their thinking around that old model of attracting talent and realizing that it's an inside-out job. So that old model where attracting talent to your team or your organization, only means, going out to try to attract somebody to you, and is that very outward-focused kind of attraction. The best cultures are shifting, and they realize that attracting talent to your team and organization means that you need to be an attractive place that people will be attracted to. And so attracting talent actually is an inside-out job. And what I mean by that, we're going to dive into more on some of the next couple of podcasts, is that means that internally, we've got to make sure that the culture that we are trying to attract people to is one that they actually want to be a part of. And so there's a great opportunity to reevaluate and work on the inside of our culture before we move out to try to attract people to be a part of it. And so some of the secret sauce of the Great Resignation is the RAD, retaining talent, the A, attracting talent, and then the D is developing talent. So again, we've got to retain the people that we already have, and then we've got to work on the inside so that we're even set up to be able to attract talent. And once we've got people that we have brought into our house or are currently a part of our organization or our company, the best are doubling down on developing their talent. The very best, as you study and again observe the best teams and organizations that are navigating their way through this great resignation, the best are doubling down on developing their talent. They're doubling down on their future leaders, the ambassadors for their culture. They are, how can we not only develop the future people, but the people that are here right now, and create people that as soon as they come into our organization, that they are being developed. No leader or team can assume the culture will be good or grow the way they want it to. So they're going to have to be intentional about developing it. Developing people and culture has to be intentional. It has to be authentic, and it has to be a high priority. And so as you step back and you look at all of that's happening in this great resignation and everything that's happened that's out of our control, you also begin to study and see the research and the data that says the best places are the ones that are the secret sauce of what they can control is RAD, and having intentional strategies around retaining talent, attracting talent, and developing talent. So this episode today was just to set the stage for the next 3 episodes, because on each of these next 3 episodes, we're going to dive into each of those 3 elements of RAD: retaining talent, attracting talent, and developing talent. Each one of those needs to be its own episode, because there are some tips and reminders that we need to bring up as a part of each of those. And so on the next 3 episodes, you're going to see us focusing in on retaining talent, attracting talent, and developing talent, so that we can all navigate our way through this time of the Great Resignation. The best leaders and cultures now, the ones that are right now, the paradigm shift requires all of us to reimagine, to grow and develop in all 3 of these areas. So, and the best leaders and cultures know that. Then they know that the paradigm shift requires this of us. We're going to have to reimagine. We're going to have to grow. We're going to have to develop in all 3 of these areas of retaining talent, attracting talent, and developing talent. So this week, as you ponder this general idea and the foundation for the next few episodes that are coming our way, here are some questions to ponder. What is the status of your team, organization, and how they're navigating the Great Resignation? What is the status of your team, your organization, and how you all are navigating the Great Resignation? What's your proactive plan to engage the minds and hearts of those with you on the journey? What is that proactive plan to engage the minds and hearts of those on the journey with you? Breathe in appreciation and gratitude for a new year, a new day, a clean slate, a new beginning to what you want to become, because that is powerful and it's going to give us energy for the journey along the way. Remember, calibrating our own personal thermostat means our own awareness. How is it that we're thinking and feeling, and then what is that behavioral response? And then how are we calibrating our social awareness for the people around us on our team and throughout our organization? And what is our relationship development going to be with them, the people across the table from us or on our team? We are the thermostats. Our internal temperature sets a temperature externally for others based on our own response and our own behaviors. This is the emotional intelligence 101. So we have to be those thermostats to set the temperature for those that we want to work with. I hope you'll keep tuning in. There's a great season ahead of us to support your vision and the mindsets on becoming an authentic leader in the world and creating compelling cultures. And on the next episode, as I promised, we're going to begin to take a deeper dive in the next few episodes. The next one's going to be on the R in RAD, retaining talent. And we're going to talk about the idea that the transfer portal that's being talked about in sports right now, it's not just for sports. And so what are those keys to retaining talent in the world that we're in today? Remember, the best leaders, teams, and cultures on the planet stimulate progress by recalibrating their thermostat together. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using, and share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to you and your organization, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com, jasonvbarger.com. And remember, we are all ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.